Joining me now, though, is one of those candidates, former Arkansas Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson. Governor, first of all, congratulations. You've now qualified for the debate stage, which is a huge accomplishment for your campaign. What's going to be your strategy on that stage Wednesday night?
Well, thank you, Ryan. And it has been a good success story in which we were down 30,000 donors just weeks or a month ago, and now we've met the debate threshold. So we're thrilled with that. You know, the strategy is to introduce myself to America. They really don't know me. I've been governor for 8 years in the Bush administration, head of the DEA, and we've got a great track record. So we want to be able to focus on that level of experience that fits the needs of our nation. And so this is my opportunity to introduce myself in a new way to Americans all across the board. And so we're excited about it. I think it will be a vigorous exchange, even though Donald Trump will not be there. He's obviously going to be a topic of some of the conversation anyway, but we're going to contrast the ideas for the future that Americans want to be able to focus on.
And it's interesting you bring that up. Do you think voters are more interested in hearing your track record, your experience, your accomplishments, or do you think they're going to be looking for a way for you to differentiate yourself from the front runner?
Well, it all ties together. Whenever you look at the front runner, Donald Trump, of course, I'll make the case that we need to have a new leader of the party and a new direction. So that's a very specific case that we make. And it's about, he lost in 2020. We didn't do well under his leadership in 2022. And we're headed for disaster in 2024 if he's a leader. We've got to make that case, and it resonates. I just spent a week at the Iowa State Fair, and what you hear on the ground is not reflected yet in the polls that you have recited. And I'm not disputing the polls, but I think you'll see that gradually change as they see experienced alternatives that can lead this country.
Well, you mentioned the polls, so let's take a look at those numbers. According to our Des Moines Register NBC News Mediacom poll, you did not even crack 1% for the first choice. You were the second choice of 2% of the respondents. 7% were actively considering your candidacy, but your net favorability is about 12 points underwater. You have been campaigning in Iowa for quite a while. Are these the numbers that you expected to see?
Well, you'd always like to see them higher, but the fact is we have not spent one dime in media advertising in Iowa yet. Many of the other candidates have, and you have not seen any movement on some of the other candidates that have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in ads. And I think what that says is that Iowa's not ready to make a decision yet. They're still studying the landscape, and they haven't had the opportunity to know me in a larger way. So we expect those numbers to change, but they're going to have to change first for Donald Trump, and then they're going to have to see where they're going to go after that. We'll be making our case that we're the right leader for Iowa and America.
All right, to that point, I want to show you another set of numbers from this new Iowa poll, and there seems to be a major divide on net favorability. Candidates who've been loudly and openly critical of Donald Trump have negative numbers, and you fit in that category. Those who've held their tongue have positive numbers. If that's what the electorate wants right now, do you think that you're going to have a difficult case to the voters here, or are you going to continue to be critical of the former president?
Well, you got to speak the truth. And if you ask me a question about January 6th, I'm going to give you an answer on it. If you're going to ask me a question about the seriousness of the charges that have been filed against him, I'm going to answer that. And truth is important. And so this doesn't set well with some people, and you make it in a way that hopefully will bring us all together after the primary election is over with. But you've got to make that case. The path to victory is going to be through Donald Trump. I don't know whether the soft approach or whether hitting it head on is the right way, but we're speaking the truth. I think it's important, and that's the only way you're going to change those numbers in the end. As to whether I'm the beneficiary of that change, we will see. But I think as they see the experience factor, my optimism for America and what we've done as a governor and as someone who served in times of crisis in our country, I expect I'm going to get a large share of those votes.
Okay, to that point, I want to play for you what Governor Ron DeSantis said over the weekend. Take a listen.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you are a rhino or not. And so you could be the most conservative person since sliced bread. Unless you're kissing his rear end, they will somehow call you a rhino. If all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Do you agree with those comments?
Well, I think you're right. We do a little bit of judging of each other in terms of name calling, and it's a purity test. Are you 100% pure behind Donald Trump or whatever the ideological movement is? And we have to have diversity in our party for ideas, for differing views, and then be able to come together whenever the primary is over. That's the vision that I have. And so, sure, right now, you've got Donald Trump in the key position, despite the indictments that are against him. The question is that going to change? And I believe that will start changing in Iowa first. You won't see it probably until late fall or even early winter, but I do expect those to change, and Iowa will start that.
We have less than 30 seconds, and this may be a tough question to answer in such a short period of time, but how do you fight through a field of 9 other candidates on that debate stage? How do you make your mark and resonate with the voters watching?
You be authentic, you be clear in your positions, and you make sure that you communicate your difference. And there's going to be a lot of difference between the candidates. We're going to showcase those differences, and I think that you'll see that what my message will be something that captures their imagination for the future.
All right. Former Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you so much for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you on the debate stage Wednesday night.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.